Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's stream. Slightly later than originally planned, and not as long as originally planned. I had no idea that my football team were playing a friendly about a few hours ago. So unfortunately I wasn't able to play it, which is a shame, but hey, it is what it is. So here we are. New game. I hope you're going to enjoy this. I know I enjoy this series. The Ace Attorney Chronicles. The original Ace Attorney trilogy is my jam. I've played all of them multiple times. Really are a load of fun. So there's an autosave feature in this one, eh? Interesting. This is going to be one of those games I'm going to play with like a mouse and keyboard. Just because, you know, it's that obvious and easy to do. I'm not sure, do I want English or Japanese language choices? It's set as English. But I wonder if this game is fully translated, is fully voiced in English, or whether it's just a few things. Oh boy, you're gonna love me having to put on some voices for some of these characters. We'll stick to English, I think. No, I'm not finished the game. No. Back. Okay, let's start. Adventure. So it's Ace Attorney Adventures and Ace Attorney Adventures 2. Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. These were games that were not brought over until recently. These games are 6 years old already. Hard to believe, innit? Anyway, let's get started. Taking place in ye olde times.
Japan. After opening its doors, a push for cultural transformation brought great waves of Western influence to this far eastern island nation. The revolution washed over the land, making life in the capital exciting and unsettling. It was a period of great change, and some were swept away by the tide.
Well, as is life. Oh shit! Doing it in broad daylight. What a madman! Uh-oh.
But for one man, the turbulence of that era was just the beginning of an extraordinary story.
Wait, he's the MC. What the heck? I can't believe he's committed a murder. What a madman. The Adventure of the Great Departure. Antechamber. Fair enough. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be that just beyond the doors to this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? I know, right? Crazy. Wonder who his defense attorney is. What? Oh, no, nothing. Save your glares, murderer. Sorry. But you're not a murderer, right? You've been framed. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Naruhodo is the surname of Phoenix Wright, for those of you who didn't know that. And considering the time period this is in, he's one of his descendants. He's his ancestor. I'm a second-year student at the Imperial Yume University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident. And now here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough! He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer. And who are you? I'm this man's lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Lawyer? Yes, and until the judge has given his verdict on the case, No one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue. Technicalities. Look at you. You haven't even graduated yet. What a dick. And yet, I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. Nice. Right, Ryunosuke? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. What are you apologizing to me for? Oh, no, I suppose that wasn't my fault. I know, right? Why are you apologizing? But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry I left the, I left my stream title. Oh, for sake. I somehow set my, my cleaning software to constantly delete my browsing history, and I don't know how to change it back. So every time I go into the browser, I have to keep logging into everywhere. And the way that Twitch works is you have to keep putting in a validation code. So I can't do any changes until I do this. Sorry, guys. I've got to figure this out, man. I don't want to have to constantly do this all the time, because my main email, it takes like 10 minutes or so to actually go into my email, so I have to constantly readjust. 76646. Oh, okay, that was wrong, apparently. Oh. It's 246. There we go. Oh boy, that's a pain in the ass. Alright, there we go. All sorted. Back we go. Ha 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 ha! There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. Though I must say, you've been all over the newspapers these past few days. Well, he's a suspect in murder. Is there any surprise in that? Yume University professor murdered in cold blood by student. But obviously, you didn't actually do it, did you? Of course not! You have to believe me! I didn't do it! I could never murder someone. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up, hold your head high. You mean... I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Kazuma Asugi, my best friend, also in his second year at Yume University. But he's far more clever than I. A star student, in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive considering he's still an undergraduate. It's not that impressive. The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old. Here in Japan, anyway. My qualifications don't mean much. Yet. You said exactly the same thing 3 days ago. But I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma. Truly. 3 days ago. Yes, that's when all this started. Congratulations, Kazuma. It looks like you're going to get a study abroad at last. I know. I've been dreaming forever of this day. Finally, those government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and success in court. So you'll be representing Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world. I'm really happy for you, and proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. I want to bring about change in our legal system. That's why I have to cross the ocean to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. Nice, some British representation. I wish I could see it too. Then come with me. was just gonna say, is my mouse cursor still on there, isn't it? Are you able to see it? Okay, it's gone now. No more mouse cursor to bother you. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's City of London together. If only it were that simple. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a while longer. And that's how you get caught up in everything. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in the English classroom tomorrow then, partner. And then he disappears like a ghost. Ooh, spooky. It was straight after that. That's when it happened. Asogi, may I have a word? Oh. Are these the parents? Oh, Professor. Professor! I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me. But never mind that for now. Asogi. You should go immediately to the judge's chambers. To His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial was a sudden decision. It seems there may be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at the university before. I see. I'll go at once then. I shall accompany you. Alright then, Ryunosuke. I'll see you in the courtroom. Yes. Thanks, Kazuma. Well, this is awkward. This is awkward. If I may. Yes, sorry? You must be the defendant. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Eugene Mikotaba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yuma University. Oh man, I don't think I can do that voice. My throat hurts. Ah, Professor Mikotaba. I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Asogi has told me much about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. As such, I feel you should know. Know what? Well, as you've no doubt heard, Asogi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, I'm afraid that permission will be revoked. Never granted again. What? Ah, as I suspected. You were unaware of this. I had a feeling Asogi may have chosen not to tell you. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered? Sorry, if I do that much longer, I'm gonna lose my voice. But I don't understand. Why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas study. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. I don't believe it. But I didn't do it! I swear it! I'm not a murderer! I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. Sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. You see, there are certain peculiarities about today's trial. Sorry, what do you mean? You'll soon understand once proceedings get underway. But then what should I do? Well, naturally I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction. Right, so as soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, You must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do. That's suspicious. That is very suspicious. But what will the question be? Surely not. Do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Defendant! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. It would seem our surreptitious discussions are to be cut short. So allow me to summarize. Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty of failing to appear? Get moving! There's no point in any advocating for the likes of you anyway. This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dreams of studying abroad are over. And what's more, I'll be found guilty of murder. And so, with absolutely no idea of what lay ahead, I embarked on that unforgettable trial. My one and only chance of proving my innocence. The trial that would decide my destiny. Such high stakes from the first trial. But then all trials in Ace Attorney are murder trials at the end of the day, so yeah, they're always going to be high stakes. So this is a courtroom. Looks very nice, doesn't it? The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. I don't much like the looks of those people sitting in the public gallery. They all look like police, don't they? And military. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. So I wonder if the guy who was murdered was a popular military man. The powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. Ah, I see. What? But why? It'll become clear in time, but for now... Ryunosuke, it's about to begin. It looks like Pain's ancestor. It's always Pain. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. The prosecution is ready, Your Excellency. As is the defense. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be 2 days prior to trial. As this is an unusual circumstance, I am obliged to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do... I need to answer quickly. What should I do? Answer I do. I'm gonna do it. Your Excellency, no confirmation is needed. As I'm standing here beside the defendant, I hope it's clear who will advocate for his defense. Those shifty eyes! What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that Ryunosuke Naruhodo, will do the defending myself. You'll be... What? What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Mikotoba told me everything, just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. You think I won't be able to get you off? No, it's not that, really. It's just that... Well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes. I knew that's how you'd feel, which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Professor Mikotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well. The court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well, well. Does the accused admit defeat already? Renouncing his own counsel? Really?
Objection!
Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows that the defendant's innocence is so apparent, he's confident he can speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. I realize you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetrated a most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court of Judicature in Japan. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct are expected of all present. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency! It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. So, let's start with the very simplest of questions. Oh, yes! Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I'd care to remember. But, wait. I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Ryunosuke. Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank? You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. But I can't even find that. It's simple. You can access the court record with a press of E. If you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all that's in there. I just have to press E for the court record. Alright, there's no time to lose. This is a list of evidence you've collected. Now try switching to people instead with E. You'll find details about the victim in here. When you're done, press E to go back. John H. Wilson. Ah. The victim in this case, he was a visiting professor of medicine at Yume University from the British Empire. So remember, everything to do with the current case can be found in the court record. Now you'd better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the people section of the court record, then press R to present. Try it now.
Yes!
Yes! The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. I wonder if I can actually use the controller. I'd find it much easier to use the court record that way. I don't know if it'll actually let me do that. There you go. Cool. Indeed. Which is the reason why this case has such a profound implications. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. And as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. You two are both undergraduates at the Imperial Yume University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honor? But I didn't do it. This case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. The court, therefore, wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. And enjoy this place a little longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. The British Empire. It's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still. I should go and say hello. Oh man, to think it was he was just a victim of poor timing. So I went over to the professor's table and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Dr. Wilson? I wonder if that's the grandfather of a certain character we'll see later on. Because they have the same Wilson surname. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. How did the Professor of Medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. The case of death. That's not right. The cause of death. Well, obviously that was, Ryunosuke. Remember that in the court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence? But how? Find the pieces of evidence that show the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now. Post-mortem report. I see. Death occurred a little after 2 p.m. and was caused by loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body. Yes! He'll just say yes. Well, according to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to a gunshot trauma. Learn to read, you imbecile! That's the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry, yes, that's right. The, post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Oh, I see! As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is a so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. The photograph print of the victim has been entered into the court record. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. Very well. I am satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better apprise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness, who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. This is it then. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes. Clearly, you're the defense lawyer here today, not me. But that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Ah! Of course. That way, if things go wrong, he's not to blame because he's only assisting. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Asugi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. Oh, man. I love these games. So much personality. Of course. The butler did it, of course. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I am the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called La Carnival. Oh, shit. He's bleeding. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing off some, That's why he's always got the towel at all times, I guess. It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. Well, it really, really should. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery, 3 days ago. Understood. Hosonaga-san, will you kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident? At once, sir. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please? Oh, aspiring maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 PM on the day in question. We have few diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it too. There was hardly anyone else in the place. And there goes bleeding again, god damn it. It was when I was in the kitchen putting away crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out into the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student.
Yes!
Hold on! Just let me clarify something here. While I did pick up a gun that I found lying on the floor beside the professor, I didn't shoot him.
Objection!
I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur. But the next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, Defendant Naruhodo. Don't worry, Ryunosuke. You'll have your chance to fight back. For now, we must quietly listen to the witness. If I may confer 1 point, waiter. Standing beside the victim with a gun in his hand was the same man we see here in the court today. Yes, without question. I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No. There was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Huh? Wait, what did he just say? There was no one else around that table. What's the matter, Ryunosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello... Oh. There was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting. But still, what should I do? Wait and see. Like he said, he'll get his chance to fight back. I desperately want to say something, but I was told not to interject. Ryunosuke, if your parents tell you to study, you're the kind of man who would diligently get to work, aren't you? I suppose I am. I'd never have got to Yuma University otherwise. But you can't just always follow the rules in life, you know. If you don't say what you want to say right now, you'll seriously regret it when you're found guilty. Alright, you've scared me. I won't forget that piece of advice in a hurry. And there is something I want to say. I'm just gonna shut my eyes and say it.
Yes!
Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table.
Objection!
Dear me. What are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all? But I'm sure of what I saw. Hosonaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy. No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please have a look if you'd like to. Let me see. A sketch of the establishment's layout drawn by yourself, I presume. That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. Why on earth would he do that? However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. But you've only marked one person on there. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well, is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him. It's probably his business card he's worried about, isn't it? Maybe he's an assassin of some kind. So, the court has now heard a precis of the case. Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant. The only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense, if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial, the prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. Oh shit. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual about these peculiarities. You've said it, Professor Mikotoba's said it, and so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push with this. Don't worry, you got this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? Oh, nice. What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is. Nice. He's taken aback there. Indeed. Prosecutor Ouchi, please continue with proceedings. Tisk! Well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. Ugh. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witness. Very well, officer. Bring forth the witnesses at once. Oh, no women, okay. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. The Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Ieyasu Nosa, reporting for duty, sir. Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the effervescence of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Rasute, a humble premises in the 2nd District. Curio Koreakuta, at your service. An antique dealer and a soldier? What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. They must be the diners at the other table that the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon, and not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding the curios of which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at Le Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets Le Carnival because of its high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this most atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative. The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir. This man's as impossible to understand as the other. That's what you get, quirky characters. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. Yeah, I know too. So, this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. The soldier is claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you shot the victim dead. Yes. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start. Of course he was. Now, the court will hear your formal testimony, please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Sir, yes, sir. Standing by to report, sir. Sounds like a baby. Unsavory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. Here we go. Finally, some witness testimony. What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regular beef steak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. I mean, a military gentleman with a gun at the scene of the crime. It can kind of give you the impression that maybe the sergeant may be guilty of something. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed Varusy cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Hey, that's already a big hole in the testimony right there. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. Must have been the gun, mustn't it? Well, so you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second where the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university cadet, sir. The cruel and unforgivable enemy. What times we live in when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of day. But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Is that really true, Ryunosuke? Yes. All I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor. After I'd said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Naruhodo. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant, when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it, so I bent down, and just as I was picking it up... Oh, shit. Well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. Pretty obvious one, I have to say. There is? Ryunosuke, you must exercise your rights to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine? Do it now!
As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. Is it time to bring this despicable student to justice?
Certainly. The testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. That's obviously not true. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict of this trial. The hand up. I love it. What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? I mean, the defense demands its right to a cross-examination.
Dear me, dear me. Let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic.
Huh? How did he know?
The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination?
Objection!
The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Nice. Kazuma is so commanding. Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses. Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements, and there was a very obvious one. Definitely a game I have to have water on hand, though. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means what that soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it, and the key to doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Now let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. Alright then. It's all or nothing. That is a very un-Phoenix-like slamming of the desk. That's one of his things he was famous for. Just a bang on the desk. It's all or nothing. Let's go. What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man.
Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman.
At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. And as we can see here, it was a gunshot to the chest, and the bullet did not pass through the victim's body. Boom!
Yes!
Haha. Come on, that made me think I got it wrong. Maybe it wanted me to, like, press. Where are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination? Thrusting this wad of papers in my mustache. Inconsistency, sir. I mean, yes! There's a clear inconsistency here.
What nonsense. What can this document possibly tell us we don't already know?
Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth.
I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom.
This is so frustrating. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. Kazuma, what?
What are you talking about?
It's apparent from a single glance at the post-mortem report presented by the defense that there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement.
What?
Sergeant Iyasa Nosa.
Yes, sir? What, sir?
The statement you just made was this. The black uniformed Veracity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel.
Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir.
Yes! But no, that just can't be.
And why not, cadet?
Because... As is clearly stated in the post-mortem report. Fatal hemorrhage from the pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound, bullet did not pass through the body. The photograph print of the victim clearly shows the same thing. Sorry, I lost my cool there. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest.
Ah!
Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well,
how would you explain it?
What the fuck?
There's a baby, I knew it. Oh,
What the? What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa?
Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable.
Oh, right. Yeah, because he's got the whole thing.
Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixated on the delicious La Carnival steak, sir. What?
The last testimony the court heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Iyasa Nosa, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all.
That's absurd.
I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Oh, snap!
Yeah!
Nice. Inconsistency seer. Yeah. There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial, just from that one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. Oh, he dropped it!
But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there. He was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back.
Yes! But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either?
Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor.
Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing?
Hunting for treasure.
Treasure?
Indeed, the Hoi Irakoban, my prized coin. On each occasion when I visit that restaurant, it is my habitude to place it in my bosom pocket, a particular trinket of interest from my shop, Rasute. in the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you? On the day under scrutiny, it was the military man that I preferred my Hoei treasure. Believed that he could purchase such a rare find, I did not, but I was presented with a little alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, it was there no more. It simply vanished. The Koban? Vanished? Hunting around under the table, I was, in case mayhap it had fallen there. And then it happened.
You heard the gunshot, you mean?
Indeed I did.
No, that's I'm getting them mixed up.
Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoei treasure. Nothing could distract me.
Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end?
No.
I see.
That lamentable day, the precious Hoei Koban was lost to me. No doubt some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself.
Not me, sir. As I am sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Well, why make that sort of promise? Nevertheless, this witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British. It would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now.
What is your position, Prosena Aochi? Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back.
Oh, that pain voice is also pretty hard.
My witnesses have further testimony to make.
Explain.
Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Very well. The court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear?
As clear as Kiriko glass, Your Excellency. Yes, sir. At once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir.
Cute babby. Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think.
Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name Ido.
It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny.
Ido. Attention! Your father is about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my baby boy.
Well, round 2. The true culprit.
Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing. Yes. Pointing his gun at the foreign man he was, that young lad in black. That much I myself did see. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Therefore, no other person other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out.
Now, what evidence do we have to disprove that, I wonder?
Yes!
Wait, that's nonsense! The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all!
Please! Enough of these outbursts already!
But there was a woman! There was a young woman at his table! You must have seen her! Everyone there must have seen her!
Objection!
If you call yourself a lawyer, then will you respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly? We are not here to listen to your fantasies.
Ugh.
It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact.
Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime, Counsel?
Indeed, of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. As can plainly be seen, there is only one place set.
Certainly, based on the appearance of this print. It would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. Let me just have a look at that picture first, though.
He's not even facing that table.
He's not even facing it. What sort of thing does that prove? It would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. This doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the court record. Photographic print of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. I don't understand. What's going on here? They've clearly taken a picture of behind him. Surely. It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman. The waiter said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true! I saw her! I swear that I saw a woman with him! It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt.
These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Taketsuchi Auchi, will have contributed to the amity of those two great empires is an honor.
How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. You've got an ace defense attorney right with you. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma. The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witness, but make it quick, understood?
Rules can be so unbending at times.
True, there's something deep going on here. The rabbit hole goes deeper than you might think. We don't need to reread these lines, we've already read them all. Yes! Let's press him. No, it's not the same thing at all. For a start, I didn't fire that gun.
We have a difference of opinion on that. The opinion of an uniformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet.
I don't think so.
Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked.
Did you?
Did you see it? Did you see me blink?
How could I?
And yet, it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it.
Have what?
Attention! The sound of the firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all. Don't you? And let us not forget that the antique dealer witnessed the accused in the most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, Korekuta-kun? Or Korekuta-san?
He doesn't say anything though, that's suspicious.
Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man he was, that young lad in black. That much I myself did see.
Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at the point in time. But I've told you already, that's only because I'd picked it up off the floor.
Well, obviously, as the culprit, that's the only way you could explain it away.
I had just finished drinking my coffee and I was about to leave the restaurant when I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And at exactly that moment, the gunman saw his chance to frame you. A gunshot rang in my ears.
Full of events beyond our control, life is.
Sorry, what do you mean?
In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas conversely, I failed to pick up the Koban from the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains, I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present.
Yes!
You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there.
Objection!
As you have been at pains to point out time and again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have even caught a glimpse of this woman.
If only there'd been more people dining there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know. Of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect. Certainly, 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone.
Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason.
There was?
This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. More evidence!
What is that, Counsel?
It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at the clinic prior to visiting the restaurant.
Hotter clinic. Yes, that would indeed appear to be an entry for the dating question. The Hotter clinic. That's been referenced in Ace Attorney before. 19th of November, noon to past 1 p.m. The very day of the incident.
So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case.
I wonder. What do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, it is hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Well, we need all the evidence we can get at this point. Surely there's something.
Yes!
If I may, I'd like to ask for the medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency.
On what grounds?
The
court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern.
That's not necessarily true at all, though, now is it?
Objection!
Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues.
I beg your pardon?
You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for a submission of evidence. Very well. The court will grant the defense request.
Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend.
Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. There we go, we got it. Now let's have a quick examination of this card in more detail, shall we? What we need right now is new clues. Excuse me. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you.
You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Kurikuta-san.
Alright, let's have a quick look at this evidence, shall we? medical report card from Hotter Clinic that was found in the victim's pocket. Shame that's all it tells us. You won't let us examine it either.
Indeed.
Yes!
Alright, let's press it here. So you actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone?
That I did. Forgive me for the position I placed you in. So the testimonies of the old man, the soldier, and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? And let us not forget the incontestable evidence we have to support their statements as well. As can clearly be seen, there is only a single beef steak on the victim's table. A meal for one.
No. The antiques dealer, the sergeant, and the waiter who testified before. It's not impossible that they're all. But if so, then why? If I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea.
Yes!
More pressing, gotta press everything. Why aren't you telling the truth?
What did you say, cadet?
I clearly remember. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. But for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible. And now they're not even looking him in the eye. Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruhodo, it's not just a case of these two witnesses alone. Sorry? The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said that the victim was alone. That's right.
Precisely. In other words, you are the sole proponent of this phantom lady.
But
If such a woman were indeed present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. And if no such proof exists, the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It is a blatant waste of the court's time.
There's nothing I can say to that. Why won't you let me examine the card more, though? That's the thing. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. Ah, there we go. How exactly? You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Press A and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Use right stick up, down, left or right. Ah, yes, this is one of those we can flip. To rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles. By using the stick in any direction. You can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. Nice. If the crosshairs start to pulsate, press A to investigate further. Righto, sir. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learned by examining it in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use the right stick and the left stick and A to inspect any areas of the evidence that look suspicious. Main, Mr. John Wilson, Hotter Clinic. Dentist. Oh ho ho ho! It looks like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of long-term treatment, that's why. With a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. So you don't like doctors then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible tasting medicine. They give you painful injections. And then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege. Or when you're at your lowest ebb. He's got a bit of a grudge, doesn't he? You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is very bitter medicine indeed. Let's open up, shall we? It is long term, isn't it? Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. Ah, and there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extradation of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. Although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Ah, there's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink beside water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthesia effects have passed. Boom, baby, there you go. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. Medical or dental work. On the day of the murder, the victim had undergone dental treatment and been prohibited from eating or drinking anything but water. With this new information, the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So, I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely. Let's do this. Yep. There you go. That changes this statement.
Yes!
Take that! Well, I think,
About what are you whittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer?
I wish I could. But first and foremost here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully. You knew exactly what it is you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright, and thanks for the advice. Kurekuta-san, this is a medical report card belonging to the victim.
Ah, I see. And I don't see. What of it, boy?
Comparing what is written in this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up.
Objection!
Dear me, dear me. Have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur?
Sorry, what?
You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel.
But
let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant.
and that's why you're such an amateur prosecutor. But that's, Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point.
Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court have heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil who could possibly have persecuted.
This medical report card has nothing to do with the case. There you go. He slammed the desk properly. Do you really believe that?
What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant?
There you go. That's the effect of that. Perhaps because Hotta Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic.
A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me?
Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted.
What's this now?
And furthermore, if I told you that as a result, the victim had been forbidden from eating.
Ooh. Just what are you trying to say, cadet? He had orders not to eat, so what?
It's all written up here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off.
What? No, that can't!
Kurekuta-san,
What, boy? What?
as you just heard, when he was killed sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all.
No.
Additionally,
There's more?
you have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case, because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner.
Objection!
What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table.
Objection!
Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic?
How dare you?
I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. So having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat, which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who in fact was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel? Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of your turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been an as yet unknown third party. Obviously, it can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table.
Objection!
You will not let us go, will you? There was no such person.
Yes!
There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on this table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witnesses' testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial, relentlessly.
Kazuma? Are you insane? You would take on the government?
Don't worry, counsel. I have no issue with you.
What do you mean?
I have issue with them, those two witnesses in the stand.
What are you talking about?
We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury.
Perjury?
And, since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing.
Complicit in murder? No!
Got ya.
Negative. There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's they, told us.
You busted.
Oh. What? What did you just say, Kurikuta-san? Oh, no.
You were just following orders?
Now hold on, lad. I was,
Say you never saw the gentlewoman. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What?
Objection!
What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements? Is this true, you pair?
Oh, you're in trouble now. Look how terrified the old man is.
Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order! Council, explain what is going on here.
It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth.
Absolutely not! The prosecution knows nothing of this!
Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut?
Well, that's classified.
So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you?
You wouldn't. This can't be happening!
Ryunosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Aoichi had any idea about it.
What are you saying?
I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might have behind this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we can make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly? Remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. You want answers? I need to have a quick look at the court record first, if you don't mind. Right. Victim, John H. Wilson, male, British. Time of death, November 19th, shortly after 2 p.m. Cause of death, single bullet fired at close range. Fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound, bullet did not pass through the body. That one is no good then, okay. Let's have another look at this photograph, shall we? I love the music as well. It really gives you a sense of drama, doesn't it? Don't think that's anything either. This plan of the restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative positions of everything in the moments following the incident. But there's nothing to show the woman you say you saw there. Exactly, and that's not all. Look here in the upper left, where it says kitchen. Oh yes, what of it? No one would use those complicated characters to write kitchen, especially not if they were in a hurry. Oh, you mean you don't remember those characters yourself, don't you? Study harder, Ryunosuke. Entrance, kitchen. mean, that's clearly a steak bottle. I wonder if there's anything we can see. I want answers! If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe.
Please, wait, Your Excellency. I had no idea about it. I swear to every Shinto god. I knew nothing.
And what does the defense have to say about all this, well, Your Excellency. Ugh, no time to think. I'm just gonna have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head. Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... Here we go. Someone with influence. Besides the prosecution as well. A medical school professor of the Imperial Yuma University. Who should I pin? Who should I finger? Oh. So it can literally be no one else. He's just a waiter. Let's do it. Yuji Makotoba. See, I normally save here. I normally do a save just in case I get it wrong. Because there's no way you want to, like, go out with a whimper.
Yes!
There! What do you make of that? I think, Counsel, that you may want to close your ears as well as your eyes. I mean, who was I meant to think? Otherwise, the size of disappointment in the courtroom would very well deafen you.
If you feel you must close your eyes in a crisis, might I suggest you keep your mouth shut next time, too? Otherwise, I may have to use the influence in this courtroom to shut it. Permanently.
Okay. I don't know what it is about that prosecutor exactly, but he really makes me wince in pain sometimes. I don't have a great deal of influence myself, but believe me, I can find other ways to make you keep your mouth shut as well. Alright, don't get angry. I'll think again. There might be some pieces of evidence I haven't thoroughly examined yet. Alright.
Yes!
Whoops! I did it again! Shit! No! 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 God damn it. That was a misclick. I promise that was a misclick. I forget how to change the thing over. Alright. It says besides the prosecution. I mean, I don't know who it could be.
Yes!
Oh dear. Okay, now I can have a look at the court record at least. Ah, the symbol of Yume University. Every student wears this pin with pride. It's funny, but most emblems seem to either be round or rectangular. I like this spike design, even though it doesn't really make any sense. It does cause problems. Lots of students end up cutting their fingers on their badges. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders. A sharp pin for a sharp mind or something. Oh, what's that? My personal student number is engraved on the back here. If you lose your pin, they won't accept you as a Yume student at the university. You may not come in, they say. Oh god, that's awful. Of course, you can get a new pin made if you can just tell them your number. I've actually lost mine twice already, but I still don't know my student number by heart. I always say to myself, I mustn't forget to write it down somewhere, but then I forget not to forget that. Of course. Alright. I mean, think the police, but how would you say the police with the suspects we got here? The waiter's bus card. Has to be the waiter then, doesn't it? He probably has some, he's probably, you know, he had time to write everything down. It makes sense when you think about it, when you take some time to think.
Yes!
Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san? The waiter who took the stands earlier?
Objection!
Poppycock! What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even a head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If, that is, the man truly were a waiter. What? If he truly were? Come on, Ryunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity as proven by this evidence. Gotta flip the card around. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Boom, baby! Well, that's unexpected. What is? Look, do you see it says the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga? Well, yes, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected. It's his job title. His job? Oh! Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector? What on earth? I have no idea. But let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence, if they're wielding it somehow here. The witness business card information has been updated in the court record. A sketch of the restaurant's layout on its back. On the front, it stated that Hosonaga-san is a police inspector. We got...
Yes!
The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question? I agree it shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency. That's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon? or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling detail is. God damn it, Ryunosuke. Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Hosonaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession. His true profession. The waiter's profession? But that's surely... Good gracious! That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power. Absolute power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene?
Well...
Whoa. Oh, he's come out of hiding. Inspector Hosonaga! I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well, is there a problem? Hand the plan at once. Of course. Here you are. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake.
So, you mean to say, you really are a detective?
But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Ah, of course! Your salary must be terrible! I was working undercover. Undercover? Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also be aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? God damn, he's in really bad shape, isn't he? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable! As I suspected. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed would be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, remove the Englishwoman from that scene at once? The Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right! Doesn't matter, I don't think, in these political cases anyway. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yume University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain. And I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical facility's research laboratory, is a young English woman. Oh, what? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean, when I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The English woman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Giselle Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yume University's medical facility. What is happening here? It's all getting very convoluted now, isn't it? I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene. Man, it's sounding a bit like a certain Miss Dahlia Hawthorne, isn't it? And ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to your how to deal with this situation. Yes, he's also under pressure here. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point.
Objection!
But, Your Excellency! That would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government would surely be very displeased by such actions.
Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. He's got some actual respect for his profession. Credit to you, Judge. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, sir. You will locate this Giselle Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency.
But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau.
As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem? I mean, he's in certain problems anyway, isn't he? Nothing will get in my way. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student Giselle Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear?
Yes! Your Excellency!
Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. Boy, oh boy. To be continued. And that's exactly what this stream is going to be as well. To be continued. Let's save and stop it there. So there we go. Leaving us on a cliffhanger, apparently. Oh boy, these Ace Attorney games are always great fun. And I hope anyone watching has enjoyed it. With that said, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, where we'll have a proper Link stream, I promise. See you then. Take care. Have a good night, morning, whatever you are.